Now, if you live in Florida, you might know that San Marcos is the oldest built structure here in Florida. But did you know that we also have the oldest structure in the whole Western Hemisphere here in Florida? And it's located right in North Miami. But look, don't worry. I don't need you doing that because I did some digging. Let's get into it. Now, we all know when the Spaniards got to Florida, Ponce now, Ponce de Leon, they set up shop right there in St. Augustine, but Ponce was on the move. But there was another guy, okay? He was like the governor, Governor Candoya. He was the one that was, looking over the construction of San Marcos. Now, when they originally, got here, they brought over like another fort, like the wood of it, right? And they set it up shop in this location. And this whole thing was, it was set up here to kind of like battle off people that was like trying to come to attack them. They stole this land. This ain't even y'all land. They ought to put a fort here, and it ain't even y'all. Anyway, the first fort that they, built, the wooden one, okay, it gets destroyed. So they end up having to build another one. It took them like 23 years to do it. And they opened this one up in 1695. But, the first wooden door that's in here, like from the original fort, it's still in here. It's pretty cool to see it. But over in North Miami, there's a building, a structure, right? It's an old, ancient, Spanish monastery, And this thing is old. And when I say old, I'm talking about old. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but this place is old. This place was built in 1100 AD. It's letters behind the number. When you got letters behind the number, that's old. Now, this monastery is not, native here to Florida. Matter of fact, it was shipped over from Spain. But the process to, get it over from Spain, it was a rough one. There's a lot of twists and turns and things, a lot of money being spent, a lot of things happen for this place to get here. But I'm going to tell y'all the story because it's a good one. Now, for y'all to really get the, full understanding of this story, I got to introduce you to this guy. This is William, all right? William Randolph Hearst. And he's a multi-millionaire from California, all right? Media mogul, got a lot of money, and he loves art. So he spends his money on all types of art. Now, William, he gets all of his money from like newspapers and magazines and things like that. Very successful. But William kind of got like a dark side to him, And to be honest with you, it kind of led to his downfall. Now, William, okay, he was a supporter of Hitler, okay, in the Nazi Party. And the thing is that he would let them publish like their articles inside of his newspapers. And this is all over, get that propaganda out. And people didn't like that. So a lot of things started going bad for William, slowly but surely. Now, in the midst of all of this, all right, William, like I said, he's a big spender. He likes to buy art and, build homes and things like that. Matter of fact, he was building like a huge, huge home, all right, in Beverly Hills. And the thing is that he was just one of the people that's like, oh, I'm always making money. I'm always be spending money. So some way, somehow, he gets connected with somebody and he's able, to purchase the monastery. Now, when he purchased this thing, it was still over in Spain. But the thing is that nobody was using it, okay? There was nothing going on. And the reason is that over time, a lot of things happened around this because for 700 years, it was home to some monks, all right? But no, it was like a political guy. He was like a tyrant, doing all kind of stuff. He ended up taking over this place, kind of like kicking everybody out. I don't know, it's a deep history. And it's foggy. And it ain't Florida, so I ain't really dig too deep. Now, when William bought this, he had to break it down, all right? Brick by brick. And you got to understand something, all right? This place is old, all right? 1100 AD. So these bricks are like real deal bricks. And each one of these bricks were like almost a ton a piece. Now, they do successfully get this thing all broken down, all right? They put them in crates. They take like these crates, put hay in the crate, put the brick, close it up, ship it away. But right now in Spain, all right, as they doing all of this, there's a pandemic going on, all right? And it's bad. It's called hoof and mouth disease. And the thing is that, remember what I said, they put hay in the crates. So all of these crates are contaminated. Now, real quick, okay, before I go into this little segment, I know this boat is way older than the 1920s, all right? I just feel like using the boat. Anyway, but when they was on this boat, okay, they realized about this whole hoof and mouth thing. So they took 23 guys, okay, when they got to land, 23 of them. For the next 3 months, all they did was take each brick out of the crate, burn all the hay, get new hay, put the brick back so they can, continue moving this thing. But I can't believe I'm doing another one. But remember what I said about bruh bad spending? All right, it's catching up to him because he's now broke. All right, he's running out of funds. And the thing is that it's like 1926, 1927, Great Depression is hitting. So everybody is broke. Thing is that his newspaper and magazine subscriptions, they get low because people can't pay for it no more. So that was like the bulk of his money and a little bit of real estate that he was doing. So they start selling off a lot of his assets, getting rid of some of that art, some of his homes and his monastery. Now, remember the 23 guys fixing the crates? They must not have been wrap tight because they end up mislabeling a lot of these bricks. So they're missing a ton of bricks. They can't even put it together. And they don't find these bricks for a very long time. Now, somewhere between 1920s and 1952, these crates were found. And some people purchased it, two investors. And they were the ones who actually assembled it, in North Miami. But they had to make some alterations and things like that. But they got it built and they kept it for a little while. Now, when those two guys reassembled it, the whole goal was to turn it into an attraction, but it didn't really pan out that way. So another guy buys it in the 60s by the name of Colonel Pentland Jr. All right, but he sits on it, for a little bit, thinks about it, he ponders, and then he ends up just giving it to the Bishop of Florida, just giving it to him, let him have it. Now, this is the bishop at the time of Florida. He was very grateful, of the gift and everything. And, he sat on it for a little bit. But eventually, over time, it turned into a museum as well. Got a little gift shop, go in there and walk around, have a little fun. And you can get married here, I know this is expensive, but it probably cost some bread to say I do here. This building, you think about that. You get married at the oldest building on this side of the Western Hemisphere. That's gonna cost you. But on top of that, look at the detail to the architecture, back in 1100 AD, you know what I'm saying? It's really good. Look at this, perfect lines, everything. These big archways. This is nice. Now, y'all remember William, right? The first guy that purchased it. And remember the house I was telling y'all about over in Beverly Hills that he was building? For the longest time, it was the most expensive house in America. It was valued over $194 million. That's where all this money went. I'm gonna be real, okay? People stopped buying them newspapers. You done put millions back then into this house. Now, this is the Hearst Mansion. Looks nice and grand. It's old, you could tell. But he got another home over here in California, some other city. But this thing is huge. How are they more expensive than this? So this the Hearst Castle. I know I started this thing off with a building over in Florida, and now I'm over here in California. This video is a little bit, off topic, but what is this? Who lives here? Now look, I don't know what y'all gonna do to remember this. Like it, comment, share it, please share it. Please share it. I don't know, but the more you know. Peace.